Test, test. How do we sound? Do we sound okay? This music is way too loud. Okay, testing, testing, testing. Oh, video's not playing. That might help. Where is it? YouTube. And then I will search for NeuroUnify. And then we got the live stream. Okay, now, how do I sound? Do I sound okay? I sound very quiet. Yeah, I sound like half the volume of everything else I was hearing. Okay. Sorry, things are changed a little bit, so it's going to take a second to adapt. Yeah, the levels look fine. It's... although I can't tell if I'm still one just channel or not. Huh? Sound like I'm out of both. Let's dupe that and then see how everything else is working on here. Okay, video should be... There we go. Yeah, that looks fine. So we've been gone the last couple days because a couple things have been going on, but we're back today, better than ever. Well, maybe not better than ever, but stronger than ever. Let me get connected to our tools real quick. So today might be somewhat of a short stream. I am dealing with a very, very high pain day today. But given the technical issues causing the stream to not be there for a while, and my sincere desire to be very consistent with this, I'm here. I'm here. Sometimes that's all you can do, especially if you're neurodiverse. Sometimes just showing up. Sometimes it's okay not to do that too. But oh, hang on, there's some lighting issues in this room. Give me a second. What's the battery like on this boy? That's pretty much full. We'll be alright. Abba booty. A bing bong. A bing bing. Okay. How's the lighting now? Oh my goodness. Those are too close. Wow. Huh. Oh wait, I know. Not side lit. Maybe that'll help. That. Howie. Yeah, that's better. Although I look like a fucking ghost, but that's okay. Can't help how I look. Okay. Oh wow, now there's like 8 times more glare on this screen too. That's fun. Where's the brightness? Brightness. Heck yeah. That's not really helping. Dang, those are the bright lights then. I wonder... whatever, okay. So, first off, let's go over our intro. It's changed a few times, and I'm probably going to stumble through it like I usually do, but again, we're learning and growing. So, welcome, and hang on. I learned something about class, I guess, or something, or style, or something like that, where I guess apparently I don't want to be too professional, or people will think that I'm a tryhard, so give me a second to switch this mic around. Okay, this might not work as well because of the cable on the bottom. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. Okay, welcome and thank you for joining today's live stream. I'm Coach Kevin, the familiar face from the DFW Autistic Support Group, and today I stand before you with I sit before you. Stand. And today I am here. Yeah, I am here with NeuroUnify. Okay, so welcome and thank you. Let's make this fun. Welcome and thank you for joining. No. Welcome and thank you for joining today's live stream. I'm Coach Kevin, the familiar face from the DFW Autistic Support Group, and today I am here with NeuroUnify, united in our dedication to neurodiversity. Our mission has always been to offer a place where neurodiverse individuals can unmask and truly be themselves. It's about fostering a sense of belonging, as powerful as the moment one of our members realized this group was his sanctuary from abuse. It's that realization and transformation that we're here to protect and multiply. As we stream today, it is with a heavy heart but a determined spirit. We're at a Okay, I can't keep that up. We're at a juncture where the continuation of these life-changing gatherings, our website, and our outreach hangs in the balance. Due to my failing health, I am no longer able to financially sustain the group's efforts alone, so I'm reaching out to you for help. So this platform is here to serve two purposes. We're rallying funds to maintain the momentum of... Wait. Oh, okay, there's a gap there. Momentum... One second. Okay, so this platform is here to serve two purposes. We're rallying for funds to maintain the momentum of the support group's reach and to our support network's digital Okay, well, basically, the funds are here to help support the stuff we're already doing with the existing support group that we're running, as well as to support the network's digital platforms, like basically our back-end infrastructure, the website, the meetup, stuff like that. And the operating costs for the Dallas-Fort Worth Autistic Support Group, so that we can dedicate ourselves to this full-time. We intend to use the funds for registering ourselves as a federally recognized nonprofit so we can fundraise at the level necessary to compete with groups like Autism Speaks and advocate for neurodiversity at a large scale. This is a fundraiser, and yes, it's urgent. Your support is not just about keeping the lights on. It's about ensuring our collective voice in neurodiversity continues to echo in the hearts and minds of those who find solace in our community. Please consider donating through Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. You can find all that information on our website at neurounify.com, or you can support us on Patreon. Your generosity is the lifeline that will carry us through this challenge into a future where each neurodiverse individual can stand tall in their truth. Thank you for being a part of this moment, for your support, and for believing in a world where neurodiversity is not just seen, but celebrated. Now, let's dive into the topic for the day. And so, there's not really a topic pre-planned. I didn't think that they would get the internet working on time, but they managed to get it by like 15 minutes before we started, and so that's kind of why the stream was stuck in the loading state for quite a while, because I just had to spend some time getting everything set up because the internet is in this room and technician was in it. Anyway, point being, there's been a little bit of a delay and a couple things that have impacted the ability to prepare. And so really what I'm trying to be focused on here today is just, again, being here, making this space, being available, because I know firsthand how much the community needs it. I get talked about it all the time, It's one of the things that I hear the most when people join the support group is like, I looked everywhere for something like this, blah, blah, blah. This was the only thing I could find, and da-da-da-da. And like, and we're only in Dallas, Fort Worth. And so I can't imagine how hard it is for people just in general to try to find support and find help. And so I want to be here every day to help. Like, that's what's most important to me is, I do coaching and consulting stuff on the side individually, but like, that's not enough. Most of the people that I want to help because they're unemployed and they're struggling with building relationships and building friendships. They don't have money to be able to do a bunch of professional counseling and stuff like that, right? So I want to be a community resource. That's one of the reasons I'm focusing on doing the live stream and all the other stuff now, because I just, with my health in the state it is, I can't work anymore. And I really don't like the idea of being on disability. I mean, especially if you know about disability, it's such a terrible, terrible arrangement. Like, people like, you're not allowed to work, basically, is the short version of it. If you're on disability, if you work at all, they just take away your support system. So like, it's as though any amount of work that you're doing to try to enhance your life literally keeps you in the exact same space. And so I'm not super interested in that idea. I prefer to work for a living. I've worked since I was fucking 8, or sorry for the language. I've been working since I was like a small child. Like, our parents were not good, and so we would have to basically do their work for them at their jobs. Like, I remember getting taken to warehouses and having jobs there, and like airplane hangars, and having to work that, like, as a little kid. Like, not even teenager, high school stuff, like a kid. And I just realized I don't have the noise canceling thing going on, and so give me a second. I need to turn that back on. Otherwise, I'm going to be very distracted by these animals. So bear with us. My bad. I'm not used to being in studio mode. I meant to transition to this. It was supposed to look like this while it was gone. But we're back. Turn the music back down. And then I got to turn my music back down so this microphone doesn't pick it up. Okay. Am I on the right scene? I really need to have this playing. Okay, it's driving me crazy how loud this music is. And the noise canceling stuff didn't help with the dang background noise either. That's great. So let's try this again. One more moment. Okay, this little guy is desperate for attention, so I don't really have a choice. Hi. Get your claws out of there. Thank you. Otherwise, I won't be able to focus if he's just outside screaming at the door. I don't even remember what I was talking about. But we're here to raise money for us to be able to continue our mission to help neurodiverse people, and so that's I guess what I really want to focus on today. Also, that reminds me that I did not put the stream up in the background, which is important for me to be able to track what is going on. So let me just make sure. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Oh wait, I don't need sound for this. There we go. All right. So yeah, we're here trying to raise money for charity. Today's not a really well prepared stream day because we didn't think we'd be here technologically, but the important thing for us is to try to make sure that we're making a space. I think that's something worth supporting, and so that's why this is kind of my mission now. Is I've been able to be an advocate for the community for years now, and doing it as a hobby has been really fulfilling. Stop, please. Doing it as a hobby has been really okay. What do you want? I love you. Doing it as a hobby has been really fulfilling and stuff, but I just keep getting these signals that what are you doing? What's going on, Hitch? What are you curious about? Normally you're just okay sitting in my lap, buddy. You want me to let go? Is that helpful? Let's get off the table though. There you go. There you go, sweet boy. Yeah, he's a good cat. He's trying his best. But yeah, so I just wanted to be forthcoming about the stream today. Please not on the table. Yeah, it did not take long for this to get halfway covered in cat hair. So I want to be here. I want to be consistent. I want to make the space to be able to help people. I want to be a public resource as best I can. I've been through pretty much every kind of trauma you can imagine. I've had every adverse child experience, a house fire, divorce, moving, different schools, bullying, whatever kind of thing you want to think of. I'm right there with it. And I've spent decades of my life working through it and getting therapy. And please don't eat the cable. Please don't eat that cable. Please. So anyway, yeah, like I'm saying though, that's what I'm here for. The thing that I really want to do is provide consistency and reliability, because that's, I think, something that so many of us on the spectrum are missing in our day-to-day lives anyway. You look at the news, you go to work or whatever, there's so many things that are constantly in chaos, and there's such a limited amount of empathetic understanding of what the struggles of those kind of situations are. And so we want to be here to make that space for people to have that. And so, again, that's why I'm here. I didn't really do any kind of marketing or anything for the stream, so there's probably not a whole lot of people in here watching today. But, again, it's consistency, repetition, building a habit, making the space. I don't expect people to trust some random guy who just shows up out of nowhere. Like, the people from the group have known me for years, and, there's ways to look up what I've done if you're so inclined, but if I'm stop. Thank you. If I'm here trying to, like, if I'm here consistently and people can experience the support directly, I think there's just, there's a lot of value in that. Like, even if this fundraising stuff doesn't work out as well as I'm hoping it does, I still feel like it's really important for people to be out here trying to kind of make these connections and make this space for people. And, maybe Twitch and YouTube is not the greatest platform for people's mental health in general, but, I've noticed that, at least for myself, there's a ton of resources that have changed my life. Like, a bunch of the stuff that I've watched on YouTube has dramatically improve my mental well-being. Like, some of the stuff that I went to therapy for 10, 15 years to even realize, I'd get like 10 times more value and worth out of some of the content that I watched online, and if there's a way for me to help provide that for other people, then dang it, that's what I'm going to do. Now, ideally, we could provide enough value to people to where, people are willing to donate and think that it's a worthy cause and a worthwhile cause. But what I don't want to do is just come out here and beg for money, right? I wasn't raised that way. It's not something that I'm okay with. I want to do a fair and even exchange for value. And so if you or anybody has or struggles with autism, or any of the other flavors of neurodiversity, OCD, dyslexia, whatever kind of things you're dealing with, if you can let them know about this channel, let them know about this space, let them know about NeuroUnify, let them know about the group, the Discord, like, for a lot of us, there's just that, it's terrifying, the idea of trying to try again to find another social group and feel excluded and stuff from it. It's just sad. And so, it's one of the things that I try the hardest. We try to make a really inclusive space, like the Discord that we have for the support group, not the one for NeuroUnify, but the one for the support group has been really impressive because potential spam. Nope. Stop. Thank you. Shoot. 2 things distracted me and now it's gone. Something about the support group being helpful for people. I don't know. Oh, right. Yeah. So like seeing people like, and obviously, not obviously, but with people on the spectrum, a lot of times you don't always feel comfortable jumping in and talking, conversating, but seeing such a inclusive, accepting and welcoming community has been really awesome. Like even people who are like super awkward with other people and haven't learned some of the more basic, like there's no neurotypical socializing and then there's just socializing, right? Like trying not to be a jerk to people and stuff like that. And sometimes people struggle with some of those boundaries because, that's part of it. You think you're just being direct and somebody else hears it how they want to hear it. But, we've got a space where everyone likes to give each other the benefit of the doubt. And I think that's a really awesome thing to do. I got to make one more. Nope, stop. Don't put your hand on the table. Please. There you go. I know. The cable keeps hitting the leg of the table. It's driving me crazy. So yeah, anyway, we're here trying to raise money and trying to create a support space for people. So like this is, the idea is to be 2 hours of free coaching, every day for whoever needs it. And donate or not, it's not, I mean, obviously it's important and we need the help, but what's the most important thing is letting people know that this space exists and that we're here and we're here to help. So that's really what my main goal has been over the last week or two is I want to create a quality stream to where people feel comfortable. So I'm staring at my cat in the camera. It's adorable. We want to create a place where people feel like they can get help with their problems from somebody who understands it because they've lived it and they've had to live with it with a similar type of brain, right? Like I'm not going to be the type of person who tells you, say, hey, no. Hi. If you want to scratch your chin, do it on my finger. We're not going to be the type of place that says, oh, you're depressed, just get over it. Or have you tried diet? Well, I mean, I bring up diet and exercise a lot. There's a lot of evidence behind that. But I'm not going to assume that that's what your problem is. I'm going to assume there's a real problem and that maybe diet and exercise might be exacerbating it at worst. But, we want to be a safe space, right? There's a definite lack and a definite need with where we're at in society right now. And there's constant reminders that the support group is able to do that for people. And, for most of NeuroUnify's existence, we've kind of done it by proxy, either through the support group or doing mentorship programs or job training for people or helping people find jobs, all kinds of stuff like that. Like we've put in a lot of work to really help the community as a whole and to do it for free because black and white ethics, if I'm altruistic, I can't, it's got to be selfless. It's got to be this, it's got to be that. And I can't, I'm not in that place anymore where those excuses work. I've had to come to terms with the fact that doing something important in this sort of scale, you have to rely on the community, right? You can't just try to brute force your way through everything. And, I'm a man, I could do it myself and blah, blah. It's like, no. No man is an island. Nobody's done anything all by themselves. At the very least, we've all used public roads and probably called the police or the fire department at some point, right? Like, we're all in this together. And so, yeah, I think that's probably what most of today's stream is going to be talking about is trying to make the space for people to ask questions. Now, a lot of the... Hi, buddy. You all right? No. A lot of, I think the way to garner attention to help people know we exist is to create short form content. And so I might try to think of ways that I can restate the mission or restate the objective or goal of, can we not, please? God, I wish you understood English so we could talk about what else you could do instead. Don't do this, do this. But I'll just hold you and love you. Yes. Okay, or not. But yeah, so anyway, for anybody who's here, if there's anything you want to say in the chat or anything you want to bring up, say hi or anything like that, feel free. Otherwise, like I said, I'm probably going to try to focus on just making today's stream about really clarifying, what we're here for, what we're trying to do, who we're helping, really try to go over that kind of stuff. And again, I don't think it's going to be a particularly long stream because I'm at like a 5 or a 6 pain in my gut, and it keeps flashing up a little higher, and a lot of times it'll go back low again, but it's not great. So I don't know how long I can keep focused, but that's again part of what I think is important to show to people as well is, there's a lot of autistic people who, because of some people's inability to regulate their own mood and stuff, they don't feel comfortable asking for help or seeking support unless they know the other person is like 100% going to be nice and be there and blah blah, and like, oh well, if they've got problems and I don't want to mess with them, it's like, no man, like I've got problems but I could still help, right? Like having problems doesn't make me useless. It doesn't make me incapable. It limits my functionality for sure, right? Like I probably couldn't help somebody move right now, but I still have ways that I can contribute, and that's where I get my value and purpose from as a person is what am I doing for society as a whole? What am I doing for the greater good? For what purpose am I using this gift of life? And when I think about all the stuff that I've been through in my life, it becomes pretty easy to be like, oh, well, maybe that's what it was for. Like maybe I went through all of that garbage. Maybe I, had the traumas and the abuse and all that stuff so that I could be a good resource for people. And so, I really want to make that work. We've already helped over 1,000 people so far through the support group. We can do a lot more. That was just with the little bit of extra money I had from work. And even that money is money that I probably should have been saving. Probably wouldn't be in such a difficult situation if I did, but like I said, my purpose and value in life comes from helping other people. And like I've learned, you got to be able to help yourself before you can help other people. And thankfully that's kind of why I'm here. 'Cause I had the realization like, okay, well, I need help, right? Like I can't afford my healthcare. I can't afford to work because I get too sick. Like I'm not going to be able to maintain any kind of gainful or meaningful employment. But I see the success of, honestly, a big part of it's just knowing about Autism Speaks as a group and just being like, they're getting tens of millions of dollars in donations and grants and all kinds of stuff every year. And it's a eugenics mission. Like, surely there's got to be at least some segment of that money that's been donated to them where people actually think they're trying to help autistic people. And, like, if we could just divert some of that money away from them into a group like NeuroUnify or even someone else, like, I feel like our lives as a whole in the neurodiverse community will be a lot better, if not especially just for autistic people. I mean, when I think about that ad that they did for autism where it was literally like, I'm going to destroy your life, I'm going to ruin your family, I'm going to embarrass you in front of your friends, and like, I'm autism. And you're just like, what the friggin' heck are you talking about, man? Like, how can you say that about something? Like, even if you think it's a disease that should be cured, how are you going to dehumanize somebody like that? Be like, I'm cancer. I'm going to, oh, actually cancer's, but I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Is that's how they view it. And for those of us who are in the know, you know, autism isn't a defect or a disorder, or it can lead to having a disordered social experience or disordered life, but in and of itself is just a neurotype. It's just a difference, right? It's like, you know, are you actually, this is a perfect example, is hyperflexibility, right? Like most people can't do this. This is normal. This is painful. It doesn't hurt at all. I could just do the whole thing. You know, it all goes willy wonky. Willy wonky. I like that. And for some people, that's how it works, right? It doesn't hurt me. I'm not being injured. I'm not in pain. But the downside is, if I'm not careful, I can be. With hypermobility, you can do damage to your joints without realizing it. You're threatened by people who use yes. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. It's not a... Yeah, I pointed that out to somebody on TikTok, actually. I think the other day they were like, why do neurotypicals and blah, blah, blah? And I was like, well, it's because they care more about people's feelings than the truth. They don't and narcissists too are the most scared by people who use logic, because they can't read you, and then they can't manipulate you because you're going off what reality is and not what you want to hear, right? And so if you use logic and you're like, hey, why did you do that thing? Like suddenly now they have to think about it. Now they have to do logic. And then they might have to admit that they don't have the right motivations, or they're not as good of a person as they thought, or, you know, their feelings are hurt, or something that makes them not comfortable. And yeah, it's literally a threat. Like that's why you just get that feeling that you're just hated for who you are, and kind of, but that's also why I like the idea that they're the disordered ones. I mean, honestly, if you look at the reality of the situation, right, like the fact that I can talk about a subject in detail for a long period of time is not a disorder. The person who can't focus for that long is the one disordered. They're the ones who have a problem. Like if you get bored and distracted when I talk about a special interest for 5 or 10 minutes, it sounds like your brain sucks and you can't listen, right? Not I'm talking too much. I'm not the problem here, right? I don't remember exactly what I was... Yeah, I think you get it. I don't remember exactly what I was getting into before, but I remember that the focus I want to do is on talking about making the space and all the other stuff. But if you have any questions or anything you want to bring up, you know, feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. But in the interim, yeah, I just remember I was venting about something because I remember getting really animated for a second. But it's I don't know. I mean, I one of the things that I keep going back to easily is people need help, and there's not good resources. Like if you're autistic and you try to Google your problem, you're going to find a bunch of answers that do not work for you, and they make things worse. Or if you're like an autistic female, you're going to start thinking that you're like mentally broken and bipolar, and you know, it's just a personality disorder. You just have a bad personality. That's all it is. You don't have a problem. You just have a bad personality. Oh, I remember now. It's the autistic people are not the ones who are disordered. Yeah, it's just it's hard to not think about that kind of stuff a lot when somebody says that you have this problem because you're different than me, and it's like, but it's just different. Why is that a problem? And like when I first learned what narcissism is, it blew my mind because it just sounded like I was reading about neurotypical people. Like, oh yeah, they're always concerned with their own self-interest, and they're always, you know, they're fine manipulating and lying to people to get what they want. And I was like, so saying, hey, how are you doing, when they don't actually care because they want to seem like they care, right? And it's like, well, no, that's just being polite. And it's like, what? But you just said it was like narcissism is toxic. It's dangerous. Why is it fine here? Like, oh, well, we don't tell grandma that she's fat because she gets really upset about it. It's like, but isn't she fat? Like, why is that upsetting? It's the reality. Why would somebody be upset about reality? And you know, that's fucking narcissism, right? Like you can't tell somebody the truth because they'll freak out. But apparently it's not. Apparently there's some kind of distinction there. Although, the distinction is almost everything in the medical model is always normal ass human behavior, but a little bit too far. Yeah, seeing details is 100% not a malfunction. That's what I don't understand how it is. Like, neurotypicals are the ones who can't take in all the information. They don't have the ability. There's no capability. So how is me having access to all the information the disability? I mean, if you're autistic, you know how it is. It's exhausting and stressful and confusing and all those other things. But neurotypical people are like that even more so with limited information. So it's like, if I'm disabled, they've got to be significantly more disabled in that context. But that's, the downside is, since they're the majority, they're the ones who get to define the medical textbooks. They're the ones who get to set what the standard is. So, well, it just must be normal for everybody to not be able to focus on the individual details of an item. Oh, it just must be normal for people not to notice small changes. And, the controllers have more influence over the NTs. Yeah, because with NTs, that was one of the craziest things to learn, is most of them don't actually have an internal moral code or an internal sense of ethics. It's predicated based on the majority groupthink. And that blew my mind. Because, like, I had always heard the concept of, like, you're just regurgitating what other people say. You're not thinking for yourself. And I was always like, maybe that is what I'm doing. Maybe that is what I'm doing. And then I learned about that, and I was like, no, that's what they're talking about. Like, people who literally just say the thing because that's what everyone says. And they don't think about it. Like, if you're on one side or the other of a hotbed political issue, there's a good chance that you've not actually dug into it, done the research, and picked your side based on... That wasn't nice, mister. Cats are fun. He decided to go into attack mode for no reason, so he's leaving the room. Give me a moment. Yeah, that sucked. I don't... Oh, no, he broke the skin. Son of a bitch. So hopefully that doesn't get infected, because cats are fun. But anyway, yeah, so the controllers have more influence over the NTs. Yeah, like, that's one of the things that makes advertising and mass media and social media so scary to me, is how... I mean, I don't necessarily want to say gullible per se, but how easily manipulated and easily convinced the vast majority of people are, just based on the fact that they think the vast majority thinks this thing. And that gets scary when you get to some of the more complicated ideas. But it's sort of, I don't know how many gamers are out there, but there's a series of video games called Metal Gear Solid, and the guy who created that game series kind of hit the nail on the head. One of the things that he talks about is, like, there's this, like, secret group called the Patriots or whatever, and they're the ones who pick the presidents, and they're the ones who are the working behind the scenes to make all the global blah blah stuff happen. And it's like, you hear about that at the time and you're like, that's crazy. It was like 20 years ago. And then nowadays I'm like, reflect back on the game, I'm like, wow, literally every single thing that he talked about in that game is happening right now, like, in public, out in the open, where everyone can see, and it's just scary. So yeah, but I mean, that's one of the other things. I think that goes back to who's the disabled one, the person who chooses their ethics, morals, and values based on, like, thinking it through and creating a logic system, or the person who goes, well, this is what everyone else thinks, so like, especially if you think about what people try to idealize humans as, like, oh, we're thinking, feeling, smart, creative beings. Like, okay, well, then why don't we embrace those as our, like, standard qualities then, and try to figure out who's the disabled people by, like, who's not creative, or who's not this or that. But it's like, no, stupid and average is what everyone should be. That's the standard. That's what we're going to hold everyone to. And if you're not stupid and average, something's wrong with you. You have a mental disability. You have a personality disorder. You're this or that, but you're not normal. You're not stupid and normal like the rest of us. You think too hard. You know, you might need to be locked up because we don't think those things here. Like something that drives me crazy is still to this day, even after the Edward Snowden stuff and all of the NSA leaks and all that other stuff, there's still people who tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist and I'm crazy when I talk about how our phones are spying on us. Like they've literally released the records. They're court documents from the government saying this stuff is real. Like it's not, but it's, you know, when you grow up and you're told, oh, people thinking that the government is spying on you is crazy because, you know, the controllers have more influence. They don't let that go. Like, you know, it's, what is the phrase? When somebody lies, it sticks around a lot longer than the apology and the truth afterwards, right? Like if you make something up about someone and it blows up, becomes this really big thing, and then it turns out it's not true, even if somebody makes an apology for it, that apology and the fix is never going to be as big and as popular as the mistake itself was, right? And so now nobody's going to know that it was, like, most people are going to know about the bad thing, but they're not going to know the bad thing wasn't true. Yeah, I normally like to do the intermission at 12 o'clock, but I think I need to do it at 12:10 because I need a minute to, yeah, it just went up to an 8 or a 9 on the pain scale. So, yeah, we're gonna take our intermission a little bit early, but I will be back. Even if it's a short stream, I'll still come back and wrap things up. So anybody watching, if you got any questions, leave them in the chat, and when we come back, we'll go through them. Thank you. Okay, we are back. How do we sound? Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so I see while I was away, we got another. Oops, that's the wrong mouse. No, 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 no. There we go. All right. Um. Oh wait, I know what I need to do. Where's the button? Where's the button? There it is. All right. So there was another message in the chat. It says they also claim we can't see the greater picture, which is BS. More hypocrisy. So with that one, I think I do personally struggle with that one a lot. Like, I see the end result of things a lot clearer than most people, but I do tend to get really bad about seeing the forest for the trees kind of thing. Um, like, I think just visually, I don't have the ability to take in the scene. I have to scan it like an electron microscope or something. Um, but I think a lot of that conceptually gets screwed up, though, because like a lot of times people will take that to the extreme and be like, you don't know what's going on, or you don't know what's really happening, or what the real reason is behind it. And that's not usually the case. Most of us tend to be pretty aware of the, like, again, the end result, right? And I think that's where it can get dismissive too. It's like, well, you're not thinking about this and this. And it's like, yeah, dude, I did think about it. I thought about all of that. That's the problem, is I'm thinking about all of it. And it's the getting the, like, I don't know. I think for me, a lot of it has to do with stress too. The more stressed I am, the more myopic I get, and the more I focus on, this little thing, this specific detail, because I think it's like a control thing almost. Um, where it's like, okay, well, I don't have any control over anything going on, but I know a lot about this thing, and it's in here. And so if I could just figure out this little thing that I'm fixated on, then I'll feel better. And I start making all of my problems become related to that little thing. And then at that point, I can't see. Like, I think the best example is, like, I like to equate autism to being a freight train, where like it's hard to get momentum, but once you're going, it's hard to stop. And like, I catch myself all the time being fixated on doing something a poor quality way, like something that's going to take way too long, or is going to be really messy or really bad. But because I already started it and I'm already doing it, even when I think of a better idea or I think of the big picture, I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep doing it this way because I'm pretty sure this will work. So I get, hyper fixated on that thing. And I think sometimes that gets misperceived as not being able to see the whole picture too, right? It's like, well, why didn't you think about doing these other things? Like, well, because I'm stuck on this. What do you want from me? Like, it happens. But it's part of those things where it's like, I'm not sure that's what makes me disabled, right? Because when you're in a crisis, the ability to focus on one thing is a strength. Being able to be like, yeah, everything else is burning, but I'm going to pick up this fire hose and I'm going to spray it at the fire. And I'm going to just think about how I'm going to put out this fire. That's like, the disabled person is the one who sees the whole picture and goes, oh my God, there's a fire. We're all going to die. Run away. Like, well, no, there's more in that picture than you. Right. And so but that's one of the reasons I love the neurodiversity model so much, where it's strengths first, because I feel like that's just better for everybody. If we focus on like, okay, what are neurotypical strengths? Well, they're really good at reading people. They're really good at empathy, and when they feel like somebody's in their in-group, at least. There's definitely advantages to being a neurotypical. I don't think it's better or worse than being autistic, though. It's just different. And that's, I feel like, the way that we should do things. Now, I'm not trying to hype. Yeah. Some of my NT friends are so much more supportive. I think a lot of times people on the spectrum get fixated on fixing stuff too, which makes supporting people kind of hard. But yeah, Although I have a friend on the spectrum. Well, it was also a female, and so they're a little better at that too. But you know, they were really super supportive to me the other day. It was really nice. I needed hype for sure. Um, Although, to be fair, the first people I thought of calling were my neurotypical friends, but they were having a hard day themselves, and it's like, damn, okay. Um, but yeah, no, that's definitely one of the benefits. Like most of my autistic friends are very, very good at seeing the problems and reminding me of them, and that's great. It's important to consider all that, but sometimes you just want someone to be like, "Wow, that's really awesome. That must be hard. It's really impressive that you're continuing to do this thing," and like just a little bit of emotional support. Uh, oh, that's not a fun thing to. I wish you would. Okay, well that reminds me. That's something I haven't touched on. So as a reminder for anybody who might be stopping by, or if this ends up on a short or something like that, we are here trying to raise money for supporting an existing autistic community that was built in Dallas-Fort Worth, the Dallas-Fort Worth Autistic Support Group. It's something that I facilitate and our company, NeuroUnify, sponsors. We're going through a rough patch right now and need community support. We're not sure if we're going to be able to make it through the other side. Finances are really, really tough. So anybody who can help share and support the message of what we're doing to other people, bring more attention to it, that goes a long way. You know, again, the main goal of this is to try to provide a community resource, but the main justification behind doing that is because I think it provides value to the community that might be worth donating towards. And we've already had some success with some of the people in the group, which is really awesome and really inspiring, but times are very tough, and so we need to work at a bigger scale. And so if there's something that I can do to help the world as a whole, or more people as a whole, then hopefully that can translate to more donations, more resources for us, and the ability to be able to give back. So more important than anything is we want to make sure that what we're doing here is providing a community resource that's worth investing in. And I think if we do that, people will be willing to invest in it. We have a lot of evidence for the good results and the good returns that you know, what we're doing works. You can look at like the best testament that I have in terms of data and documentation is the reviews for the group, for the support group. The DFW Autistic Support Group was a part of the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network for years. The previous facilitator who was running it ran it for about 10 years and then just couldn't do it anymore. And so we took it over a few years ago, and since that time, I think every single review we've gotten for our meetups has been a 5-star, with the exception of one very early in the beginning, because I did not know how to moderate a group of 40 autistic people in a Zoom call. And so I don't begrudge that person for having a bad time. That probably was a 1-star event for them, because I didn't feel comfortable muting people yet. I didn't know how to make space for people. It was chaotic. And so that's fair. But that, you know, in 2 years, every review for what we've done is 5 stars. So there's at least consistent community feedback that what we're doing is good, what we're doing is helpful, serves a purpose, there's value. People's lives have been saved. People's lives have been improved. People have community. The number of times people say stuff like, you know, I've never been able to unmask before, and when I came in here, suddenly I felt like I could just be myself for the first time, or like this is the first time I ever felt like I could breathe, or this is the first time I didn't think I was a weirdo alien or a monster, or this was the first time I heard other people say things that I was like, yeah, me too. And like, that stuff matters, and it's worth fighting for. It's worth pushing for. It's worth, you know, coming onto a stream and being sick and doing it anyway to try to do this. So like, I know, especially doing it from 11 to 1 is not going to be the best time to have, you know, a bunch of autistic people who are gainfully employed around to donate. But what's really important to me right now, I think, is bringing attention to this. So like, that's why I want to be here every day, is because I want I want people to know that it's real and that it's here and that it's worth sharing and that there's value. And so, like, the more questions and answers that we can get in the chat and the more engagement we can get, the more that I can include that stuff in some of the short form content for like Reddit or TikTok or YouTube or something that can show more people either one, a question that they had getting answered, or two, that there's a place where they can go to get their questions answered. That's not Quora or Yahoo Answers or some place where somebody who doesn't have the experience and the knowledge and stuff to be able to actually provide useful functional advice. Like, so many autistic people just get the worst advice because it doesn't apply to us. It doesn't work for us. It's not helpful for us. The one I always go back to is just be yourself. No. When you're autistic, you don't get that luxury. Like, it sounds cruel, it sounds fucked up, it sounds really dark and depressing, because it is. There's a reason that we have the insane suicide rates that we do, right? And it's not because life is great and easy. It's because we're so used to having the whole world say that we're the problem and we're wrong and everyone else is normal but us. And so now we have a space where people get to go, oh, I am normal. It's just a different normal. Oh, man, why am I so popular right now? Oh, because people are replying to me. But yeah, so it's just like what people can do to help is, you know, share the fact that there's resources out there, or donate if you can. We need volunteers. You know, all the help we can get right now is helpful. That's a pretty good thing to clip, probably. Not that last part of it, but the energetic spiel. Because it's just, I don't know. Whenever I think about how lonely and isolating it is, it just makes me double down more on how important doing something like this is. Like, I've been pretty happy to hear there's like an Autism Live channel, but I think it's like a channel made by parents. So, you know, having our voice, not that I'm saying I'm a representative of everyone here or anything, but having an autistic voice representing autism at scale, I think, is something that doesn't happen often enough. You know, we've got our Temple Grandins and you know, some celebrities here and there that pop up, but it's just an awareness thing, right? Like, that's usually what those guys are all about is, hey, I'm autistic, we're here, and we're not that different. Like, I look just like you. I don't look autistic. I look human, like you. And you know, again, it boils down to the, like, a lot of what we need in this community is a counter voice to Autism Speaks. And I'm hoping that I can either help facilitate that for somebody or be that voice myself. Like, NeuroUnify has a lot of good structure in place to be able to do a lot of good stuff. We're just lacking the funds and the resources. And so, you know, again, that's a big part about why I'm here. It's trying to find a way to say, hey, we need money, but I'm not going to beg for it. We want to exchange value. Something that I haven't touched on today, you know, I'm a little off script. Again, just for anybody who's not aware, there were some technical issues and personal issues and stuff that prevented us from being here the last couple days, and we didn't think we'd be able to get the stream going today on time, but they were able to get the internet working right on time. So I'm winging it today. But one of the key things that I want to have as a point in every stream is at least a couple minutes to talk about self-care and mental health. You know, if I'm going to be out here on a parasocial platform, then I need to be providing functional resources. Like, it's all well and good to feel like, you know, oh, I'm talking to somebody and I'm getting help and blah blah blah, but like, when you don't have anybody to talk to, you need those regulation skills, you need those coping skills. And what's a good one to think about? There's a lot of good grounding stuff, but I think I went over those the last few times. An energy budget. That's something I haven't talked about. That's a big big one. So everybody needs to know their energy budget. Everyone talks about how important a financial budget is, but nobody talks about an energy budget. And I think the main reason is because most neurotypical people don't need to budget their energy. They have enough, or they have the ability to connect to their body enough to know, I don't want to do this. I want to do this because of that and blah, blah. And like when you're neurodiverse, you don't often have that luxury of being able to say no because people usually force you to do stuff. And, man, this is why I miss having closed captions because I forgot what I was saying again. It's about self-care, it's not grounding. What was it? Oh, brains are so fun. Man, what was it? I keep going back to grounding, but that's what I know it wasn't. It was going to be something about, like, finding a safe space, maybe? No. Shoot. That is so frustrating. Okay, well, I'll try to think of something else then. Self-care for being neurodivergent. Internal boundaries. That's a good one. That was something I didn't even know was a thing. I'd always struggled to have boundaries with other people. But a lot of that was because I wasn't even setting boundaries internally. So that's a very, very good way to start off early with self-care, is learning how to set internal boundaries with yourself. Like, you can do this thing, but only for this amount of time. You have to do this thing, or, when you feel this way, that means no, and you won't do it, and you'll actually like listen to yourself. And like for me, a lot of it is, I would be super exhausted, stressed out, over socialized, and then somebody I cared about would say they wanted to talk, or just something generic, and I would immediately go to a place of, I owe this to them because I suck, and the only way I'm going to have any friends is if I do everything for them, and I'm always there. And so I would just disregard all the boundaries that I had and be like, yeah, let me be completely open and available for this other person. And then I would eventually burn out and be unable to talk to anybody for weeks or months. And when you're holding yourself to the standard of, I need to talk to these people or they won't like me, when you can't talk to people, it goes to a pretty dark place. And so like a big thing that helps with that is setting those internal boundaries, being able to tell yourself yes or no around certain things is at least a good place to start. Because once you can respect your own boundaries internally, it becomes a lot easier to relay that to another person later on. But you have to know where your boundaries are first. And like there's the old-fashioned way of figuring out where your boundaries are by letting people push them until they break, and then you're like, oh well, that was a boundary, now I know, but it's too late. Yes, that's exactly what happens. So I burn out when the road only goes one way, their way. That's literally what it is. And if you don't have internal boundaries, you don't realize that's what's happening, right? You just keep giving and giving and giving until you realize you're on the side of the road with no gas. And by that point, you have nothing to do but walk, and you can't help anybody. You can't help yourself, and it's just like, ugh. But if you grow up being told that you're broken and weird and unlovable, and nobody's gonna like you and blah blah blah, then you get to a place where sometimes you don't care about the burnout because you at least want to feel valued and validated, even if it's just for a little short period of time. And it can be soul crushing to be in those kind of circumstances. But like, the best way to get out of it is to start by respecting your boundaries yourself. Like, if you find a food disgusting, don't force yourself to eat it, right? Don't be like, well, what about the kids in Africa? Be like, no, I have a boundary around food, and that's okay. I deserve to be respected. I deserve to be comfortable. And like, especially, for me with food stuff, like, I have a very sensitive GI system. And so letting my internal boundaries go for the sake of making somebody else comfortable. Like, some people get super offended if you don't eat their food, right? Like, super offended. Some cultures are really big about it. And that had to be a boundary for me, right? Like I had to be like, I can't take ownership over the fact that this person is upset by this, because my being upset is more important than them being upset, because I have to take care of me. They're not going to take care of me, and I'm not going to be able to take care of them. So I need to do what I can to focus on myself. And so I don't like that I have to deal with somebody being upset or offended, but it's a heck of a lot less painful than dealing with 2 to 3 days of fucking god awful misery, right? Like, so, you know, sometimes we have to make those choices. Hey, it's 12:34. You made it halfway through the day. It's time to celebrate. Oh, they're gonna mow my lawn. Good. So for those of you in the central time zone, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a very fun time of day, and I usually like to take that as a moment to reflect on kind of where I'm at. Take a moment to take inventory of my emotional state and think about what it means to be able to make it halfway through a day, right? Like, when life is hard and exhausting and you want to give up and everything sucks, you know, like right now I'm here, I'm up, I'm doing a thing that's worth celebrating, right? Like, I'm not doing what your average American thinks I should be proud of. Like, well, why aren't you, looking for a job, or why aren't you doing this, and why aren't you doing that? Like, well, because I'm doing my thing, right? Yeah, lost my train of thought again. But the burnout problem is real. Internal boundaries really goes a long way towards making that a lot more manageable. And again, once you get better at that, then it's much easier to transfer it externally. So, like, boundaries are a really good thing to learn about when it comes to self-care, and they're very, 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 very hard. They're hard to enforce. They're hard to hold. They're hard to know and understand. And so starting off with internal boundaries is a good way to go about it. Yeah, my stomach is starting to go weird. So I probably can do maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, unless something like super exciting or interesting pops up and, we get reinvigorated. So I think, yeah, let me go ahead and go over the stream. If there's anybody in the stream, in the chat, or anywhere who has any questions or anything they want to bring up, now's a good time. Otherwise, just as a reminder, we do have our website. It's neurounify.com. There's a lot more information about what we do. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have connections for how to join the DFW Autistic Support Group. If you are somewhere outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you'd like us to try to expand the support groups into your area, you can send us an email, info@neurounify.com, or put something on any of our social medias, sites, comment, or go to our website. There's I think it's technically a volunteer request form, actually. I don't have a feedback and suggestions thing on there. But you can use the any of the tools that we have available, any communication platform, to let us know what we can do to help. And so in the interim, I know there was some kind of like thing in the schedule for what to do close to the end. Okay. Quick tool to assist regulation. Question to consider. What? Question to consider. Oh, okay. So that would be like in the case of internal boundaries, saying something along the lines of, so if you're not familiar with your internal boundaries, or you don't know what they are, or they're weak or loose, ask yourself, where are they? Where are things that I can do what are things that I can do in my own mind to set healthy boundaries for myself so that I can respect myself better? So it's a good question to consider, is asking yourself, where do you need to have boundaries internally? Because that was the first time that got brought up to me. I didn't even know you could have internal boundaries. And then the second thing it brought up to me was, what the heck are they, right? So that's a very, very good place to start. And of course, I still don't think I have a outro written. Nope. So 2 to 4 sentences, short sentences that clearly states an action point step. Okay, so let me look through the chat, see if there's anything I missed.
That screen's way too far away, and I probably look really weird staring right past the camera. I'm staring at you. No. Nope. It looks like we're pretty good on the chat. So watching my replay now. So then I guess the 2 to 4 sentences will say, tomorrow's stream is going to be a lot better. We have time to plan and prepare. It's Friday as well. Something to look forward to is I am fairly sure that I'm going to start doing an evening stream as well. So that's something to look forward to, where we're going to probably do some kind of game or some kind of more active community engagement kind of thing instead of just a Q&A, because a Q&A works a lot better when you have a community, right? Not necessarily when you're building a community. But I have a short timeline for how long I need to do this. If we don't get this figured out by February, things get a lot harder, because that's when I lose my home, most likely. We'll see what the courts have to say about it, but it's not looking good, guys. So basically keep an eye out for the stuff we're going to do. If you can, like, subscribe, clip stuff. We have all of our live streams on YouTube if you want to look at anything historically. Any kind of clips or videos or segments of it that are helpful that we can be shared, that would help us a lot too. We really want to bring more attention to this. We want to have more eyes on this so that we can help more people and get more help. So like, share, subscribe, join our social media, follow us on TikTok, follow us on YouTube. I think on TikTok our username is technically NeuroUnify Live, but because our name is NeuroUnify, you can probably find us there. Help us gain traction on the socials, or provide words of support, or anything that anyone can do to help. We are open to. There is no here right now. So with that being said, I just want to say I love everyone. I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I apologize for the stream being late and being offline the last couple of days. We're still figuring stuff out, but I promise that as time goes on, we're going to get more consistent, more regular, and even if I have to, I might do some kind of like pre-recorded thing just so that we're here every day. So keep that in mind. Know that we love you. We're looking out for you. We're here as a community to take care of each other and NeuroUnify.